Good. Welcome to the town hall meeting. This is our second town hall meeting. We're glad you're here. This meeting, I'd like to keep it as informal as possible. However, we still ask you to adhere to the Open Public Meeting Act requirement of the meeting. I'm also going to ask you to please keep your questions to the point. You basically ask us anything. If it's something that Shannon and I cannot answer, and it's technical in nature or operational in nature, I'll have to refer you to the chief. Let's try not to stray too much off topic. And I'm going to ask you to limit your questions. Maybe I'll change that a little bit later, but see how many questions there are. 2 minutes per question, and then we'll see how it goes. I'll try to keep it as informal as I can here. With that, the meeting is open. You can ask me anything, or Shannon, or the chief.
For those who haven't been here before, the bathrooms are right down the hallway to the left. There's male and female. There's coffees and cookies up there. If anybody needs those during the meeting as well.
So please don't be shy. Go help yourself. It's all paid for.
By you?
Privately.
Oh, privately?
By me.
That was nice.
By my money.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
And it's Starbucks. And it's decaf. So I'm not going to have you drink coffee that's going to keep you up all night.
You don't want that call.
I don't want that call.
My heart is racing. Can you send somebody over here right now?
We get those calls from drinking coffee.
Okay, folks. Well, do we have anything? We're going to have at least one question to start with.
Who doesn't know me? Well, I guess we'll introduce ourselves. This is our chairman, Bill Mersing. This is Commissioner Shannon Thompson. Commissioner Riffle is unable to attend this evening. And I'm your fire chief, Christopher Carlton. So it's nice to meet you all. Does everybody know everybody? Pretty much? Okay.
We'll keep the meeting open until 7:30. I mean 8:30, but it's going to get awfully quiet if nobody talks.
What would you guys like to know?
What do you want to talk about? Anything?
Well, actually, since nobody's saying, anybody?
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Go, Chief. Okay.
I don't have a question, but I do know that when Chief Carlton took over, there was only one sort of semi-legitimate complaint, and that was that he didn't live full-time on the point. And now, Chief, I understand that you have moved here full-time.
Yeah.
Take a full-time position, and we appreciate that big sacrifice to uproot from your home in Bellingham and to move here. And we sure appreciate your continued efforts to make Point Roberts as safe as possible.
Well, thank you.
I know you've trained almost 200 folks down from Maple Beach in CPR over the last 2 summers.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot safer in my twilight years. So, way to go.
Well,
Keep
thank
up
you.
the great work, and that same goes to the commissioners as well.
Thank you.
We know how important your job is.
Yeah, I'll echo that. So, as I look toward getting older and thinking about what all that means and thinking about how important the fire service here is, I think your presence here gives me a lot more confidence in all of our safety and the ability of really everybody to live here. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Big.
Can I echo that too?
Sure.
I've told people the story before that I did have a medical emergency when we moved here in 2003, and I had a medical emergency in 2004, and I was grateful that we had an ambulance, but the air ambulance didn't know where to land. A couple other things that were kind of quirky. I think they turned the IV on full blast, so by the time the helicopter came, my hands were swollen, my face was swollen. I'm just really grateful that we have so many EMTs, advanced EMTs, but really, I mean, it's the paramedics who are gonna really do the life-saving treatment, and we didn't have a paramedic before, and what was our roster as of yesterday? 6?
41.
We have 41,
Well, how many?
but we have 5 paramedics rotating through the organization.
Yeah, so we have we've got pretty good coverage now, and in the past, you know, I don't think people who haven't lived here a long time, but I think everybody here has lived a long time, is that this isn't what the fire department used to look like. And it is competent, it is just right up there with the best, and it's because of this guy. And for that, I'm just eternally grateful, and I feel like I can retire here and know that when I call 911, I'm going to get really top-notch service and care and stuff like that. So I know I've said that about 100 times in the last few years. I'm sorry, but it doesn't get tiring. So.
Well, I appreciate that. But I guess I'll take a little opportunity to answer any questions about the services we do provide and the levels that we provide them. And as I go through the description of our operations, you know, if you do have a question that is not clear to you, you know, please raise your hand and let me know, and I'll do my best at answering that for you. If I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer. But I'm just not going to give you an answer that doesn't make any sense. Okay? So I think a lot of you, last June, I believe, for roughly around then, this organization became the first organization in Whatcom County, and a very few handful of organizations to be licensed by the state of Washington at the intermediate life support level, which is the advanced EMT level. And that's in between EMT basics and paramedic level of care. Now, I would have to say 90% of what I do as a paramedic is actually advanced EMT skill sets. And for that, we run on different levels of calls. We have calls that start out at Omega, then we have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echoes. Echoes are the most severe calls in the county, and those are the cardiac arrests. And they usually come out as a 9 Echo 1. And that's categorized through our fire dispatch center and the computer-aided dispatch software that we currently have. Omegas would be a ground level fall that needs help getting up off the floor or back into bed. Then you have basically Bravo and Charlie calls. Charlie calls would be anything from shortness of breath to altered mental status to chest pain. The difference between Charlie chest pain and Delta chest pain is usually a radiation to the back. It's going somewhere. It's just not staying central to the chest wall. And then again, you have the echo calls, and that's on the medical side of what we do. Currently, we have 10 advanced EMTs out of 16 EMTs. That means we have 6 EMT basics. My goal is to get every EMT within this district trained up to the advanced EMT level. The advanced EMTs can handle diabetics, they can handle chest pain calls, meaning diabetics that are hypoglycemic. They can go ahead and give D10, they can start IVs, they can give certain medications at their level of training as well. And then the difference between me and advanced EMT, anybody have an idea? Who would like to tell me what I can do as a paramedic and what my skill sets are? So we like to reserve the paramedics for the true acute life-threatening issues. Okay? Advanced EMTs have the ability to do pain management now as well within this organization through nitronox or nitrous oxide. It's the gas that you can get at your dentist. It makes you giggle and maybe tell the truth, depending on who you give it to. So nitronox is a analgesic gas that we carry as advanced EMT, so we don't need a paramedic to start treating your pain. The big difference between myself and advanced EMTs is the upper level medications that I carry, and that's for cardiac arrests. The same medications are used at the advanced EMT level for asthma attacks, COPD exacerbations that I carry as a paramedic with just a couple exceptions. And the IV drug analgesic or pain management that we carry. So we carry Dilaudid here, we carry fentanyl, which are, Dilaudid is a derivative of morphine, and sometimes people are allergic to morphine, but most people are not allergic to the derivative, which is Dilaudid, or hydromorphone. is the other name for it. Fentanyl is much more powerful than the dilaudid. And then we also carry ketamine. Has anybody ever heard of ketamine? So ketamine's a wonderful drug. It's not addicting. So those who are addicted to analgesics or have a long history of taking opiates for pain management, ketamine is starting to be used more on the international level and national level now to help treat those patients or get their what do you call it when somebody's, their addiction, I don't want to say addiction, but their reliance on the opiates that they've been taking for years. Ketamine is starting to help get those people off the opiate dependency. And what ketamine does is actually, we like to describe it in simple forms, it kind of really disconnects your brain to what your body's doing. So it's wonderful for burn patients. I had a burn patient that was sloughing, his arms were sloughing off on his forearms, his chest wall. And I started off with dilaudid. And dilaudid is a very powerful medication for opiate or analgesic purposes, but it wasn't touching his pain. So I went ahead and gave him some ketamine, and that was it. About 30 seconds after I gave him the ketamine, I asked him how he was doing, and he goes, "I'm doing great." And then he said, "Too much information to me?" He goes, "I used to have to pay for this back in the 60s. Right? So, some interesting conversations we sometimes have with our patients, but it was wonderful to see that he wasn't in pain anymore. So if the general analgesic medications, the dilaudid, the fentanyl, are not assisting you, and Virginia, you probably understand exactly what I'm speaking of, the ketamine is something that will assist you if we have to go to that level of treatment on you. So really the advanced EMTs can do everything I can, except for some of the real high-level fancy medications. But I'd have to say 90% of the calls fall within that advanced level EMT treatment. And I'm happy to say that we at least have an advanced EMT level trained medical provider on point 24/7, if not multiple. And then when I'm down in the county, and that normally extends from 6 to 8 days depending, I do my best to have a paramedic rotate through and cover while I'm there. And I normally have the option of covering 6 out of my 8 shifts. But those 2 shifts that paramedics are not available during the month, then we at least have that advanced EMT level practitioner who is able to cover 90% of the emergencies. Now, what happens if we don't have a paramedic here? Anybody want to answer that question? Anybody know? What if we don't have a paramedic here, we do drop that cardiac arrest?
I'm gonna
No. No. Nope, you're not. You're not. Well, hopefully. We will do our best for a positive outcome. I'll say that. CPR and defibrillation are the keys to survival now in out-of-hospital and in-hospital cardiac arrests. The fancy medications, the epinephrines, amiodarones, the atropines, and things like that I push to try to chemically get your heart started again, have shown no benefit to 24-hour survival. So even though I might be able to squirt epinephrine on a rock and the rock jiggles, right, that doesn't mean that your brain's intact anymore. And most people that we finally get back after 30 minutes or 40 minutes, we get their heart started through the addition of the medications and through the continuation of CPR and defibrillations. Sometimes their brain is not responding anymore, and we would consider that person possibly brain dead. So our goal in cardiac arrest is to help you go back to the life that you had prior to the event. That is our goal, and we've had 2 huge successes of doing that here on Point Roberts. The one, Jim Graham, and they wrote a book, and it's called Miracle at the Border. So I don't know if you guys have copies of that book or read that book. It's a wonderful read. He's happy that he passed, went into cardiac arrest 10 feet basically inside the U.S. border. He told his wife that if he ever had a heart attack, he wanted to be in the United States, and it happened for him. We worked him for 45 minutes. He went on ECMO. Anybody know what ECMO is? There's a long name for it, but it's the last effort that we have to perfuse your vital organs. And he went on that. It's $100,000 a day, I think is the cost of that. And he was a Canadian that came down here, had cross-border insurance, and his bill was north of $1 million.
Oh, good heavens.
Well, his bill was north of $1 million through all the stays that he had down at St. Joseph's and everything else. And he ended up having, but we don't tell anybody what to go with, but the insurance company that he had was BCAA, and they covered every penny of it. So for the Canadians out there, that's just one of the companies that you can search out to get cross-border insurance. We had a paramedic on. We had a paramedic on point that responded immediately. He had actually been here about 2 minutes when that call dropped, and went back to the border and worked it. We had airlift come in. And if we don't have a paramedic here, airlift will be the advanced life support that's coming in to assist you and provide those advanced level medications. If airlift is not available, anybody know how we're going to handle getting an advanced life support individual here at that point? Because sometimes airlift is not available due to weather, or they may already be on other incidents. Anybody know who we'd be calling in? At this time, the medics are coming up for the county. Okay, so we have a paramedic unit running code red all the way here from the county. All right? If we have a paramedic here, we code green them. So code green means we put them back in service so they can hold south of the border and be responding to the majority, the large part of the county. But what if the medics aren't available coming up from the county? What if Airlift for Northwest is not available and we don't have a paramedic here? Who's going to be that next step we take? And why? Delta doesn't offer paramedics. They have EMRs, or emergency medical responders. That's below a TCP in Canada, which is our EMT level, basically, or advanced EMT level. Who would we call for that advanced level support? BC Ambulance. BC Ambulance would be called over since our resources are exhausted at that point. This is our agreement that we have with BC Ambulance, that we use them only when our resources are exhausted. And we would call for an ALS ambulance from BC.
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
What are the numbers on the advanced life support in BC? So if you're calling on...
So they have, I think, 4 ALS rigs that cover downtown or the general lower mainland, downtown Vancouver area. They run, I think, province-wide, 1.3 million calls a year is the number that I have in my head. So they
including the transport ambulances too, that 1.7.
Yeah, 1.3 million in all their calls throughout the year. So basically that's, I don't know, I think that comes out to 1,100 plus a day on call volumes to get over 1 million. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I want to say somewhere in there, and my math is maybe not
You're right.
correct on that.
That's all, that's about a little over 2,000 a day.
So they're running a lot of calls, so they may not be available. So then what? What if all ALS resources are exhausted in the county and in Canada?
You call Virginia.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
No. We like anywhere else in the county, because this can happen anywhere in the county. The ALS resources, we have 4 ALS rigs, paramedic ambulances in the county to cover all of Whatcom County, including Point Roberts. And that includes Lummi Island as well. So we have 4 ALS ambulances. And what if all of those ambulances are exhausted? The next step would be EMS1 or the EMS supervisor, who's a paramedic as well. But most likely, if there's a cardiac arrest involved in there, that supervisor, he or she is already assisting on that other cardiac arrest and not available. So anywhere in the county, Glacier, Sumas, Kendall, anywhere that you speak of, could come into the same prognosis that we would if ALS resources were dissipated to the point of not being available. At that point, we run it at the level that we have. And our concentration is on high-performance CPR and defibrillation when necessary. Our advanced EMTs and EMTs can put in King tubes, which are advanced airways, but they can be put in at the basic level. They're a supraglottic airway is what they're known as. They go into the esophagus versus the trachea, which I put my tubes into, but they're able to secure the airway from vomit or levels of vomit so that doesn't go down into your lungs, to have better passage of oxygen into you. So we've never, in my time here and before my time, I don't remember or have not heard of incidences where we haven't had that ALS resource available.
No.
Do you know of any, John? No, Virginia, do you know of any? So that's where we go. Hopefully that never happens, right? But if Cascadia Rising impacts us, we will have 0 ALS resources available within about 1.5 minutes after that event. 911 will be inundated, and those resources are going to be used up if the phone lines are even available. And if the ALS units aren't impacted themselves directly and are able to travel. So that gives you a little, hopefully a little more information, a little bit of background on what we provide in this organization on the medical level. I'd be happy to show you our boxes and the medications that we carry, the LifePack 15s that we have, the cardiac monitors and what they do, if anybody's interested. Any questions on that, what I've discussed?
What do we do with CPR class?
Good. You guys want to all be certified tonight in CPR? So, operations-wise, anybody have any operational questions that they'd like to ask?
You want to talk about fire engines, you want to talk about hose lengths, you want to talk about if you can get to your house, you want to know where your hydrant is, if you're okay, you want to know if your house is safe
Pat?
the way it is.
Yeah, I have concerns about educating the public in Point Roberts, about the transit as well as the permanent. And they need to understand, at some point in time, that we will have a wildland fire in Point Roberts.
Yep.
And the fact is, your fire department is not capable of really dealing with a wildland fire situation once it gets started. And the public's got to understand that. That means the public's got to take responsibility for their own homes and do what they can to reduce the fire initiation risk of their houses. And that means clearing the grass and the brush away from the house, get rid of the fire source. Don't have shingle roofs, have a fire retardant roof, and maintain it. Because what it boils down to, the size of your fire department, you're gonna have to do triage as far as houses go.
Exactly.
And some places in the plan that you can't go down because it's not safe because you might not be able to get out. It's part of the basic firefighting watch-out situations and things.
Right.
And so the public needs to understand it can't be coming back whining about the fact that you didn't go down there and save their house because you're sacrificing all your resources to go down in one place. You got the whole point to worry about.
That's correct.
So I think there needs to be eventually here some education for the people to understand that they're responsible for their own places and do what they can to reduce the fire risk. And part of that has to do with people that are permanently probably have a lot of important records. And it's no different than like in Southern California where they have fires all the time. They have all their important stuff in one place. And if you get a wildland fire situation going, they can pick that box up, put it in the rig, and get out of there. And so they have everything, they're not gonna lose everything, they have all the important documents. And I think most people, I don't think, understand that here.
So Pat, I don't know if everybody knows your background, so can you just kind of briefly explain what your profession was before you retired?
Well, part of my job, 35 years with the U.S. Forest Service, was I was on the engine management teams. For a long time, I just moonlighted on different teams and stuff. And eventually, I was on a national incident management team. We went over western United States in these large fires. We got dispatched by the Boise Interagency Fire Center to these places. And that means local government is contacted your dispatch and says, we are not going to be able to control this. And it goes on up the chain of command to get the resources dispatched here. or wherever. But anyway, I've been to a lot of fires over the last 25, 30 years, all over the United States. And a lot of places that felt they were immune to fires. And at some point in time, they're not. One that comes to mind is Durango, Colorado. They had a fire there, I think, it was back in 2003, 2002, somewhere in there. And the largest fire they've ever had in that part of the country in the Rocky Mountains was about 4,000 acres. This was 70,000 acres. And the destruction was amazing. I mean, it was just incomprehensible. And the destruction after the fire, which is probably wouldn't happen here in the state country, is the rainfall, the heavy rainfall on top of that soil had been exposed and burned, and then had the capability to hold on to it. It come down rushing down draws and everything, 4 feet deep, and just a gray muck and stuff, and knocking houses off the foundation. But nonetheless, the issue is there's no place that's not immune to wildland fire. And there's probably a higher probability to have a wildland fire here than it is Cascadia. But all you need is a very, very dry season. Becoming province in late August. And you get a house burning in the woods, and the fire gets away. The fire department responds to the fire at the house. It gets up in the trees, and there's only so much they can do. So, if the conditions are right, the moisture content is really low, that's going to spread. You've got a very, very heavy fuel load in the woods around here. And it burns really good in late August. So, it's just the best thing you can do is look at your home and the dead night there's a big bonfire 15 feet away from your house or 20 feet from your house and flames up to 20 feet in the air. That's about 2,000 degrees and you've been within 15, 20 feet of that thing. Your place is going to catch fire. And the only thing you can do, it's too late if you haven't taken precautions ahead of time. You just got to take the bulls by the horn and go look at your place and do what you can. That doesn't mean it's a foolproof thing, but it increases your odds of saving your home. And it's just what you got to do. It may never happen, but I think, it's not going to be like you see on television of Los Angeles, and you see the big mushroom cloud and things, and you got thousands of acres of burning. You only have to burn 600 or 800 acres here. It makes it pretty ugly. Because all you're going to have left is black sticks on telephone poles sticking on the ground. And no sounds, no nothing. I've driven through 15, 20 miles of burns 2 weeks after the fire. And it's really eerie because you can't hear a thing. No bugs, no birds. The wind's not making any noise because there's no resistance in the trees because they have no limbs and stuff. It's really spooky. And we don't want that to happen at Point Providence.
I'd like to, expand on that. Pat and I, if I'm speaking correctly, I came from Colorado in 2006, and Pat and I were both on the Hayman fire in Colorado, and that was south of Denver, and that ended up being 120,000 acres of a wildland fire. And at the time, obviously, when I first moved here, I didn't know Pat was down there, and I was a firefighter south of Denver working that structure, or working that wildland fire. So I'd like to expand on and give you an example of what we have and what we don't have, the last wildland fire we had coming from Chief Shields, it took DNR, Department of Natural Resources, which would be our wildland team, if it was something that we didn't get an initial stop on, and it grew to a large scope of a wildland fire. DNR is who's going to be coming up as the team, the wildland team. It took them 3 hours to get up here. How much more of a wildland fire do you think we're going to need to have in 3 hours? We're going to have structures lost, we're going to have multiple things lost. So what is our capability to fight, a field fire, if we had a field fire now? We have one apparatus to do that, and that is our red pickup. And let me tell you what we have in our red pickup. So it's a Dodge pickup, and it's been retrofitted with about a 100-gallon tank on the back of it that stores water and foam mixture, because we like to put foam inside of it because it makes our water what we call wet. It penetrates the surface a lot better of objects and wood and everything else. It doesn't allow it to reignite. So we have about 100 gallons of water. It is pneumatically operated. Pneumatically means we actually have an air tank bolted into the back bed of the battalion that maybe holds roughly how much air do you think?
2216.
It's a 2,200 pounds, so how long do you think that'll last if we're running full force?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, 100 gallons, and we're done. Anybody want to know how long it's going to take to get that refilled and back up and running? Because we have to recharge that 2,200 pound air tank. It's not like a little gas run motor that other wildland vehicles have. Okay? It'll take us at least 45 minutes to get that truck back out there to start suppressing the flames that have grown during that period of time. Once we exhaust it in 3 to 5 minutes, we're back here refilling it. That's our capability right now. Anybody happy with that capability? We have fire trucks, but the fire trucks can't go into the woods. And we only have so much hose that we can extend from our fire trucks before we lose the battle with friction loss. And we can't overcome that pressure with our pumps. So what have I offered up as a replacement for Battalion 58? It's what a lot of organizations are going to, especially that have our uniqueness. A lot of woods, a lot of backwoods hiking trails. And I've recommended getting a 6x with the same capacity that has 100 gallons. It would have foam capability, a foam tank on it as well. 6x is an ATV, but that ATV is really unlikely to get stuck. If we take the pickup out into a field with its weight capacity, and it's slightly muddy in that field, but we still have active fire, that pickup truck's going to sink just like any other pickup truck. Even though it's 4-wheel drive, it's still going to get stuck. We can't go on the beaches with this pickup truck either to put out beechwood fires, which we do have, right? People go out and they make a teepee with driftwood out there, and they start it on fire. So how do we overcome if we have that risk, which we do? At the turn of the century, I believe, if people look back in the history of Port Roberts, and I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking about the turn of the century, but the majority of Port Roberts burned down because of wildland fire. And I don't want that to happen because now we have homes, we have people, we have valuables. But I go back to what Pat is saying about you need to mitigate, right, the best you can, and remediate your property to decrease the likelihood if we do have flames that reach the trees. It's going to be a bad day for us here in Point Roberts.
Do we not have help cross-border? In
We
the
don't.
event of a big disaster like that, we don't
No.
have, they can't come over?
International agreements, they only respond to structure fires. They do not respond to wildland fires, hazmat incidents, or anything else. That assistance will be coming from the county.
And Chief, explain, you're talking about the DNR. It's not, correct me if I'm wrong.
Delta Fire Rescue is what I was just speaking of.
It's not like DNR has its own equipment and the garage is full of it. Am I correct?
Well, they do have wildland trucks that they put in service during the summers. So they will staff those with wildland trained people.
Well, that's in the summer,
And we normally have a few large wildland fires here in Whatcom County, usually towards the mountains. And if their resources aren't pulled all the way over to the eastern side that usually burns down every summer. Something happens over there very, very large. We may even be without resources that we can call upon here. So we will not get the assistance from Canada. Yeah.
On the likelihood of getting wildland fire here, it'll probably happen sometime like in August or something like that. And that's the same time when the national preparedness level is either 4 or 5 in the wildland situation in the western United States. And as far as that goes, the entire country, because it's that level is dependent on the available resources throughout the country. Because normally, we have a fire season like in Florida, and it goes to Arizona, and the Central Rockies, Northern Rockies, Southwest, and usually the last is the Northwest and Northern California. Southern California is year-round. But the way that goes down is, you say you got a fire in some community. Take California, for example, like where I was on the Mendocino Forest. And the fire starts out in that grass country that's west of I-5 as you go down through Northern California. It's all grass country out there. It usually has a slight breeze going through there. And it gets started. And we have a very short window when we get a handle on it. We get some fire trucks coming in from different places. We may have strike team engines about 5. And maybe one hand crew and then maybe a second hand crew and a hand crew about 20 people. And what will happen is an incident commander at that incident will contact a dispatch office and then state on and say, we're not going to be able to get a handle on this because it's gone from a 1/4 acre to 4 acres to 50 acres and it's going to run away. So what they do is they put a call in to usually the North Zone dispatch, which is in Reading, and if it's in August or something, it'll probably go to the National Emergency Fire Center in Boise. Okay, the thing about airplanes is coming and stuff like that. So the likelihood of getting an airplane at that time of year is not very good because there's fires going on all over the country, in Southern California, and other populated areas. And that's where the priority is, where we send the planes. It's a national resource. Same thing as hotshot crews and things like that. They're a national resource, and Boise decides on the priority order where these things go. And we're not going to be at the top of the list.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? That's so critical, and to your point about the ATV, then what's holding us back other than funds?
It's just a discussion that we need to have for full understanding. That was mentioned months ago. There's a lot of people in the community that don't understand the risk that we have that decided to voice their opinions about such of a vehicle. Right now we have an ATV that would not be able to be outfitted. That is for trail rescues. We've already used that once for a knee dislocation back in the trails here behind the school. If we wouldn't have had that device, it would have taken probably 10 to 15 people to hike that person out of that airway on a Stokes basket, but we were able to put it in the Stokes basket, give them pain management because I was the ID pain management, and make them as comfortable as possible and go to the hospital. But it saved us an hour of work time as well by having that vehicle. That ATV was donated to us, so by a current member within this organization. And a 6x would be able to do the same thing. They'd be able to get back out into the trails and to where either we wouldn't be able to walk in with enough water supply. We have little backpacks, and we have a nickname for them, but I won't use that nickname. It's like a camelback, but it's bigger than that. It holds about 50 pounds of water, so I don't know, 8 gallons, 5 gallons, somewhere there of water. But we utilize pumps and we spray like this on with those. But once we're out, those people have to hike out a half a mile to go get replenished and then hike back in. So we have all this growth time. A lot of people don't understand that even though they see green out there, that green still burns. Okay? And that's something about the fuel moisture that Pat was discussing, was even though it's green, it still may have an ignitable or very low fuel moisture that makes it very, very high risk. The other day at the commissioners meeting yesterday, I explained that we have the authority to, but we don't usually set, or in my time we have not set, when we are in burn ban. That is done by the Washington State Fire Marshal's Office, which trickles down to Whatcom County Fire Marshal's Office, which puts out the burn ban for the entire county. Okay? So once they put out that, they say what burns are allowed, what burns are not allowed, and then we put our burn signs up that say burn ban on. Okay? And then we hope the public calls us, and we stop selling the burn permits, the ones that are restricted at the time, but that they call us and they want to get more information from us. So having a vehicle that can go on beaches, into fields that are slightly soft, to get to the extension or to the fingers of the wildland fire that happens to be in that area, would be extremely advantageous for this organization, because right now, I put our capability at maybe, I want to say 5% of being effective in a first initial attack. And our goal, if we're going to be successful at stopping something from growing very, very large, is we have to be very point and very specific on our initial attack and very capable with what we have available to us. Otherwise, we're going to lose acreage and we're going to lose homes. Once it gets into the trees, we won't have capability to stop it. You have to realize the winds here come off the ocean, and if we are driving a wind of 7 to 10 miles an hour, we'll be lucky to stop a small fire from growing into acres at that point.
So what size, someone was talking to me about this a couple weeks ago and wanted to know what size of trail this kind of vehicle would need to have to be able to go on, because the woods are so thick and dense that you can have a walking trail, but it's only like 2 feet wide, so how does a vehicle like that get through that?
Well, I'm not worried about the small brush that borders the trails, right? If we have tree stumps, then we are not going to be able to get through that area. We'll have a chainsaw with us. We may have to cut down trees to get to specific areas inside the wood. But anything that 2 people can sit, can walk side by side on, or 1.5 people, we're going to be able to drive. It's going to scrape up our vehicle, right? But we're still going to make it down that trail. And you're right. When you cross the ditch and go into some of these wooded areas, you have fallen trees and piles of stuff that no vehicle would be able to get into. But we may be able to come around by coming in through somebody's yard that we wouldn't be able to make it with the pickup truck that we have, and getting on the backside and being able to make a path to get to a fire that was seated inside of the wooded area. At least we would have the opportunity at that point. Because right now, we don't even have that opportunity with the pickup truck we have. Plus, that pickup truck's 17 years old. It's 17 years old at this point. So it's basically at its lifespan as well, being utilized in that capacity because of the weight that it's carrying. We had to put special airbags or suspense airbags on the back, I forget what those are called, to help that weight be supported because the springs it has weren't doing the job anymore. So, yeah.
The other thing is, people think, watching television or anything like that, they see the aircraft dropping retardant and water drops and stuff like that. In reality, those things are fire. What they're doing is slowing them down enough to get the hand crews in there to get the fire control to line around it and put it down. But most of the time, those are just slowing them down. It doesn't cure the problem.
So what would
We're talking
you
about
do in
20
that situation?
There's a couple of them to really get in there and do this stuff. And you're not gonna get a hand crew over here for 2 to 3 hours.
Correct.
Yeah, because basically the DNR comes out of concrete.
Yeah, that's where one of their bases is, right? Is concrete.
So would you actually utilize the public for this?
No. The best thing that the public could do is start wetting down their yards, start wetting down their homes, especially if we got into the trees and it's starting to roll. You need to understand that fire will create its own weather. If you've ever watched the big firestorms on the news and stuff, it's its own weather within that fire. And we have 5 square miles, and if we have wind, 5 square miles will go up very, very quick. if we're unable to stop it at its initial incipient phase.
So you're saying we wouldn't be able to utilize a bucket brigade?
No. No, the danger that you have with people seeing that they want to try to get out in front of that fire is that fire overtaking them, because it can travel extremely fast. So how do we fight forest fires? We fight from the black, and we fight far enough ahead of the fire that we're able to dig line or bulldoze line, because the natural resources, they have huge bulldozers that'll come in and just scrape a whole path that's 20 feet wide and scrape that path to try to stop the ground from crawling. Because the ground fire will keep going, right? If they will stop the trees by the slurry or by water drops or whatever, there's still ground cover that's moving, right? And then that ground cover can again start trees back up and continue that wildland fire moving forwards. So here, our best shot is our initial attack. And if we don't have the ability to get to the seat of the fire with enough suppression capability, that fire is going to grow out of our control.
So do you have a bulldozer available?
We have rigs here, but again, you're looking at a half an hour probably, if they're on the point to operate those types of machinery.
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, there's a couple here.
Yeah. So if it started down on the south side of Point Roberts, and we knew the direction that it was traveling, and it was pretty progressive, we might be able to get a half a mile or a mile, ahead of that, and decide to bulldoze a line. But if it's in the trees, it's going to jump that line.
I've got a couple of DVDs on having transferred, or a couple of VCRs transferred to DVDs. And the London drugs that is available here, if anybody wants to see about spotting fires and the firestorm. And specifically the missionary lynch fire down at Germano. Because that's just amazing to watch a real firestorm across the lake. I mean, you can see the smoke, and it's coming across the ground this way, and it's blowing that way, the birds are flying up there, and they're trying to get away, and they can't, because it's not enough. They don't have the power to fly against that kind of thing. It's generating its own.
And it's just not the flames that you see. It's also the radiant heat that extends, 50 to 100 yards ahead of or out in front of the flames that you see that are causing trees to burst into flames before the flames actually get to them. It's the radiant heat problem as well. Yes?
Well, I have a question in an entirely different direction. From what I've read, there's obviously some issues between the fire district and the hospital district, your neighbor, your tenant, and your co-equal district. What is have things improved since what I read in the paper was going on? Are relations back to something more normal?
I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer that. I think the relationship can always get better. It has improved probably a little bit. What you read in the newspaper is exactly what you read in the newspaper. Mark Twain said it very well 100 years ago. But what you read in the newspaper will inform you. If you believe in that, what you read in the newspaper, you're ill-informed.
Might be available.
And that is what we're battling right now, or we know. It's an issue that is blown completely out of proportion. It's an issue it's a nothing issue. And requests for public information have been made. Not by the fire district. We are happy. There's always some kind of a tension between the landlord and the tenant. You cannot have an absolutely perfect relationship. There's always room for improvement, and that's what we're going to work at. It's probably going to take a while, and we've had some call it bad press. We will live with it and we'll fix it. That's all I can say for now. It's almost whatever we say is going to be contradicted over here. Both of us are not going to learn from this moment.
I've said in several meetings that the public records request that I made as a private taxpayer. And I mean, that is abundantly clear. It was written in my request to them that it was as a private taxpayer. And then that got taken differently by different people. And I have offered numerous times to go over any information that I have with anybody who wants to contact me. And nobody has contacted me. I have kind of forced that information on a couple people so that they can see it. And, you know, they've made their own judgments after looking at that. But this really all started with things when I first started that we just needed to adjust. And that wasn't received very well at all. And then it has gone on to this, but really this is, all I asked for was some basic information. I asked for a budget and things like that. But that's my private life. And again, if anybody wants to talk about what I have gotten, I'm more than happy to share that with you, but that's really not fire district business. The relationship between the hospital district and the fire district, when I came on, needed some adjustment and needed...
In what way?
There were a couple things. First, we had allowed them to use our kitchen. So, are you familiar with how the hospital district is set up?
Not particularly.
Okay. Can I ask if anybody has a question other than hospital district so that we can...
Well, things have been pretty quiet, so I think
Okay.
we can probably chat for it.
Okay. So, the hospital district is a taxing district. And they contract with Unity Care to provide the services, and that's a private company. And so the people that you actually see at the clinic are Unity Care employees, not hospital district employees. And the hospital district consists of a superintendent, who's required by law, the 3 commissioners, a secretary, and an accountant, or a bookkeeper. And so those are different organizations, really. And the superintendent's kind of the person who's between the 2 organizations, between the hospital district and the provider. So when we were creating the hospital district, there was nothing here before. So Virginia started, and there was a group called the Pioneers. And the initial idea of the Pioneers was to create a retirement home for people who lived in Point Roberts, for them to come and, so that they wouldn't have to go to Bellingham to retire. And so that was a grant-based organization, and we turned it into a clinic because we couldn't afford retirement. So that's where the Ed Aiden name comes from. And so it was a grant-based organization. We realized it wasn't going to last as a grant-based organization. How do you get healthcare normalized on grants, because they come and go, who knows? And the grant was running out, and so we decided that we needed to make it a taxing district. And so I was one of the 4 people who helped transition and create the taxing district. So I did much of the work to create that taxing district and set up the organization for the commissioners to create the commissioners. I set up all the meetings, all the organization, all the training for those 5 people that we ran as the first commissioners. My husband was one of the first commissioners who was elected. He volunteered his time. He didn't take money for those first 2 years. And so when I came on I haven't done anything with the hospital district for almost a decade, I think, a long time. I found last thing I think I did was I found their attorney, or found an attorney for them, did a bunch of interviews, and said, you know, here's your selection of 3 of the 5 I talked to, and here's why I think you should choose this one over that one and stuff like that. So, and then I organized the meeting with him and things like that. And so after that, I haven't done anything with the clinic. So when I came here, I found out that they were using our kitchen, they were using our laundry, that the air in here was being, the only room in this entire building complex that has air conditioning is this room. And so they were turning the air conditioning on and then opening the back door of the clinic using a fan to funnel cold air in. And I was a little thinking, not sure we should be doing that because that ends up looking like a gift to Unity Care. It had never been done in the past. What?
Oh, I just was really surprised that's the direction you went, but go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
It was just another really odd direction to go, but go ahead, I'm just listening.
Well, this is how I got
Yeah,
involved.
just listening, just took me by surprise.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then we started talking about that, you know, you can't, as a taxing district, you can't give anything to anybody. You can surplus things, but a gift is improper. And so we talked about, Christopher and I, Chief and I, talked about that, and we talked about some patterns of behavior problems that we had with some Unity Care employees. And so we tried to resolve those things amicably, and that didn't work. And so we had a couple more behavior issues, and so we asked Elaine, the superintendent, to come in September and talk to us. And the main issue was the behavior issue. And that, we needed to cut things, we needed to have a boundary, basically, because some boundaries had really gotten blurred. So having the Unity Care employees in our kitchen and using it, that needs to be formalized in a contract or some other method. And using our laundry, actually that's probably more on them. They shouldn't be using our laundry because the laundry is for fire stuff. And so I don't know what they were using it for. So those were the things that we were talking about. And then the next day, the situation came up. And, you know, we've gone through that ad nauseum. And I just felt that no matter how we talked about anything, it just wasn't going to go anywhere. That, you know, they've been doing things their way for a long time, and I understand that. And so in March, we had issues where we needed a key. We had no key to the facility at all. And we asked for an insurance certificate. These things ended up taking like 2 months to get. And I mean, it was just the mundane things were being dragged on and on. And so hopefully, I was hoping that we could resolve these things, and it took a long, long time. And it took a lot of effort, especially.
Yeah, I have a question when you finish.
So it took a long time. And so in March, there was a comment about the sign and there being a 5-year, not loan, but a 5-year repayment plan. And I said, huh? Because I thought the sign was going to be paid for by Unity Care. And then I found out that it was the taxpayers who were going to pay it, and the clinic didn't have enough money to pay for that in a year because it took up a certain percentage. And so I said, well, how much does that sign cost? And I was told that they didn't have to answer my questions. And I said, well, you're really telling me that you're not going to tell me how much the sign costs? And I was told we would go over it at the next hospital district meeting. And I was alarmed. I said, I don't understand that. I'm just giving you the number. That's all I want is the number. I just want to know. I mean, I'm a taxpayer here. I live here. I've been involved with this, and I just wanted to know. And so the answer I received was kind of blunt, and so I said, okay, well, the only way I know how to get the information, because you're not giving it to me, is do a public records request.
Excuse me, does she just get to go on?
Well, you did ask me
Yes.
this.
She's answering a question, I think.
Okay, well, a lot of this is,
You should
Not
introduce
true.
yourself so that everybody knows who you are.
so I'm Robin Nault, I'm a commissioner for the hospital district really
I think
hoping.
there was a question, you had a question?
Well,
Before,
let me do one thing.
Jumps in.
Let's,
Well, I've just been curious to hear how this goes, because it sounds like a really odd story, and it doesn't
It is
make a lot of
odd.
sense for a fire district person to be in some of those positions, but I was just curious about it. I'm just interested in that perspective you're
Well,
spinning.
I just, I don't want to get into the hospital district because that, that's,
That's actually what I would recommend, that you not get into the hospital. But anyway, I'll leave it there, you can go on to the next. I'll
I'm
let
actually, so I.
let the next person ask their question. I mean, it seems like it's an interesting
Well, I don't
material that's
wanna-
been
I mean-
control.
If you're satisfied, are you satisfied?
Well, Robert's not satisfied, and I
No,
want
No, I think it's
well,
one.
he's not.
Okay,
Robert
so
is.
Richard.
Yeah. So we've been out of town, but, so what we saw was a for-profit healthcare corporation trying to bully this quirky little community into putting up their sign. Is that not the way it is? Unity?
Well, it's a $7,000, as a taxpayer.
Hey,
If I can, I'll take my shirt off and answer this as a taxpayer.
Yeah, can I?
It's a
can I just-
$7,000 shirt.
Hang on, folks, excuse me.
Okay, you're right.
I think we're going completely off
The rails.
off the railing, we're almost derailing here.
All right.
Well,
So,
Shannon did ask if there were any other fire district questions. So if you want to draw a bright line between the fire district and Shannon as a taxpayer, and you want to have that conversation, then you can have that conversation. But I think it's really telling that nobody has asked Shannon what her issues are. I think it's interesting that Pat wrote that she hasn't made her concerns known, but Pat has never asked her what her concerns are. Pat has never interviewed her. And I'm kind of amazed that this community has not questioned any of this. As one of the first commissioners of the hospital district, and speaking as a taxpayer, I share Shannon's alarm and her concerns about what's going on there. So,
But I don't, again, this is the fire district.
Right, that's from the point.
And the-
This is the fire district, and it should probably stay within the fire district.
Then you shouldn't probably have brought it up, right?
But
Well, it's a pretty big issue that has been raised by
Well,
people
then why
on
did
the
you,
board.
then now you're saying it shouldn't have been brought up? You've-
Not by me, I'm saying it shouldn't have been brought up historically. I think it should be something that, a lesson that should be learned.
Oh, wait a minute, so wait a
Private
second.
citizen.
But wait,
What's wrong with
wait,
that?
so you think that I should have brought this up to the board earlier?
I think possibly you should do things as a private citizen that don't create the tension between the fire district and the hospital district.
How can I control what the hospital district does or what someone writes in a newspaper?
she has been very clear that she's pursued all of that as a private citizen and not as a
Doesn't seem like it from the nature of the ability to inquire, the ability to try to hold things up. I think that can only be done more in the context of the landlord, and the landlord is the fire district. I don't think it really works. It loses its consistency when you try to spin that argument out.
So I don't understand that. So you're saying that I as a person, as a taxpayer in Point Roberts, or you're saying that I as a fire commissioner am impeding something at the hospital district?
It seems that way.
What am I impeding?
The ability for them to do their job.
What job are they doing?
They're running their operations, they're doing things to promote it.
And how is this impeding them?
Well, you were just trying to interfere with their sign thing, and you thought they were spending too much. You're just saying they were spending too much money, but that's their.
I did not know how much money they were spending until April.
If
Well,
I
never
may
asked.
just
After
point
April.
out the whole
What was
legal
that?
letter that was written, it's very clearly stated here in response to Mr. Grubb's attempts to conflate this issue into something it is not warranted. But let me just point out to you that, as the solicitor says, as elected officials, they do not sacrifice their First Amendment rights when elected to office. So none of these commissioners.
That's a different issue.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, as a lawyer, I can tell you it's not.
As a lawyer, I can also tell you that it is.
Well, it's not, because as private citizens.
We have plenty of lawyers here.
Private citizens have a right to sit on commissions. They do not lose their rights as private citizens to speak their First Amendment rights
Right.
by virtue of the fact that they happen to sit on a commission. So that's an absurd argument to suggest that somehow for Shannon to have made comments as a citizen or sought information as a citizen, she in some way is prevented from exercising her official duties as a fire commissioner and landlord for a private company.
Speaking of conflating, that's a great example of where things get conflated. When someone tries
Well,
to
maybe you
allegedly
go back to the law
separate
school
those-
because
I wanted to say one thing.
No, Shannon, please, stop. With all due respect, folks, you asked a question, I hope you got a partial or a
No,
more than partial
no,
answer. Okay, let's leave it at that.
Can I just say too, please call me
Exactly.
and I can explain anything you like. I will go over anything that I have.
I've never done it, thank you, I appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she is right. We never get phone calls at home from people like yourself or anybody else. It's always at meetings, and we had that one famous meeting 4.5 years ago, 4 years and 8 months ago, and I hope we'll never see again. And that was just a total disaster. But the amount of people that have called me personally over the last 14 years that I've been a commissioner, I can count on hand. I'm sure you too. Okay, well, let's leave it at that. People apparently are afraid to come to somebody's, or to use a telephone, or to talk to somebody in person. I don't know why, I don't have a clue. Because if I have a problem with somebody, I'll go to that person. I'll say, hey, let's solve it.
Well, sometimes it's more useful to hear things in the public context, but that's okay.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying here? Okay, good. Let's keep this very short and talking on. And again, with all due respect to you in your district, this is a fire district event.
Well, I feel
And I
like
don't
there's been
wanna-
a lot said against the hospital district, and Shannon had her time, and I just want a minute to answer your initial question about the relationship between the hospital district and the fire district. It's not great, as you can see. The issues that are going on, what's been reported in the paper. A lot of people in the community are upset, are concerned. I agree with Bill. I'm disappointed that it's all come to this, honestly. I want nothing more than to improve relations. We share a lot of common goals in the community. As commissioners, as representatives, the hospital district for the clinic, the fire commissioners for the fire department, we care about the community. We are landlord. We are the clinic rent space. They are our landlords. There used to be a close relationship there. It hasn't always been like this.
We can only work, let's just hope that from now on, we will work towards a normal landlord-tenant relationship, and that we can look each other in the eye and not see doom and gloom. That's
We
what
have
I
the
Well, I
want.
hope so. I
We
hope
have the
so.
appropriate boundaries and we have.
And we just maintain appropriate landlord-tenant boundaries, and that's it.
But I come and I sit at these fire district meetings, and I've heard Shannon speak out repeatedly against the hospital district, and I'm just to keep quiet. It's
Okay.
tough.
And it's very tough going to hospital district meetings, but this again is the fire district, so let's just, if we have other questions about the fire district, I'd like to focus on those.
Yeah, please.
So what about the sign?
What was that?
What about the sign then, Commissioner?
2 meetings ago, we said it was being tabled, and we left it at that, and I don't know what the hospital district has done with their decision. That would be a meeting we'd have to go to for them, or their meeting. I don't know if they're going to pursue it in the future.
Anybody else have anything?
Can I change the subject?
Please.
You, Virginia? Virginia Lester?
Can I spell that?
I don't know. I want to say something to Chief. I have had several things happen with Ed and myself, and the Chief has been there as a professional that I could not ask for anything better. And it gives me such a feeling of security living in Point Roberts, knowing that we have this quality, not only in the chief, but in all of the people here on the fire department who can respond to our needs. And I think that's something that I really want to express. The second thing I want to talk about is the involvement in educating the community and working with PrEP and CERT to teach us how we can better help in an emergency in an orderly fashion. And he's put a lot of effort and time. No one even knows how much time, because these things don't happen overnight. And we've had 2 drills with, I think, another one scheduled fairly soon. And with each one, all of us who participate feel more and more confident that we can be of value
Thank you.
to the community because of what you're doing for us. And I want you to really know how much I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
So how much time do you spend on first aid for the public and CERT and PrEP and things like that outside of the regular fire stuff? I mean, because you've done training, you did my first aid training, and that was like an all-day thing or a half-a-day thing, and then you come in when we do just regular classes that Virginia did earlier this year. So how many, like approximately hours, numbers of times a year that you get involved in things like that?
I'd have to say probably 100 hours plus, at least, dedicated to educating CERT, PrEP, doing exercises, speaking with their members about different issues within the community. And I think the community understands we offer free CPR training here, and I think it's the second Monday of every month. We had Seabright come this last Monday, and I had the pleasure of teaching that course. So we had 10 people, I think, or so. And it's always, I enjoy that, but we also have internal CPR instructors that I normally let teach these courses. But once in a while, I like to get back out front. This district has also taught CERT PrEP Trauma First Response, which is an international certification course. I teach that. This is one of the few districts in the county outside of District 7 and us that your medical providers are also certified in Advanced Medical Life Support, which is an international course, Pre-Hospital Trauma Life Support, international course, PEP, which is Pediatric Emergency Pre-Hospital Provider, which is all about pediatric emergencies, cardiac arrest, PALS, Pediatric Advanced Life Support, and also Advanced Cardiac Life Support, or ACLS. That our EMTs, advanced EMTs, and obviously the paramedics are all certified if in all of those or a majority of those at this time. So the amount of hours we put in training on a monthly basis are thousands. I publish that on my fire chief's report on a monthly basis, and we're usually well over 2,000 hours for volunteers' participation within this community. And I think that's considerable when we're speaking about we have 12 volunteers that live on Point Roberts. We have, I believe, 9 from the county that come up and fill in as paramedics and advanced EMTs and firefighters as well. And then we have 29 or something to equal 41 out of that Canadians who volunteer their time. One thing I'd like to make sure that everybody understands in the public is that there's information out there that these Canadians come here, and we have one sitting over here, and I should maybe let him speak to this, but They have all their certifications before they come here as firefighters. They on average spend $16,000 to $20,000 of their own funds.
Why do you let them speak for themselves?
Well, I'll say a little bit, then you can add to it. They $16,000 to $20,000, of their own funds before they're even competitive in the Canadian testing process. Delta has one of the highest requirements for certifications in the Lower Mainland. So I think it's important for the public to understand the value they're getting from CBP, allowing Canadians to help supplement our volunteer force here, and the trainings that they have and the experiences that they bring, because people from within this community don't have those certifications. And I send them to gain those certifications down in Texas or Idaho medical certification, Texas fire training. But the Canadians that come here have to have those certifications before they can even get picked up here as a volunteer member. Fire 1, Fire 2, hazmat ops are the basics that we require them to have before they can even come here. So I want to make sure that's clear in the public that they can gain stipends for going on calls, putting in time for this community, but they don't get paid out those stipends unless they acquire an I-10 number. And that's through the IRS. And that takes months and months and months. Sometimes they can't even acquire it over a year's time. So that's we have volunteers, Canadian volunteers, that have never been paid out stipends because they've never acquired that I-10. So it's a free service for this community and benefit. That when we have certified people at their levels getting off the fire trucks, that's a benefit. We have competency walking through that front door for this community. So it's a balancing, right? We need everyone that's involved here. We need the Port Roberts responders, we need the county responders, and we need the Canadian responders, all to make this work. And it's a value. And we're making it work the best we can, and I think we've improved greatly over the years. And they gain value out of it as well. I hear that, we spend all this money on them, and then they leave. Well, now you know that most of them aren't even getting paid, and we help them get picked up on the Canadian side to find that career fire departments and to find that career in the fire industry to go on to build their families with and everything else. And I'm proud to do that. We are a farm team for Canada. Vancouver loves us. We lose a lot of people in Vancouver. We lost 4 people to Delta last year. How many people have we lost this year?
6.
6 people so far this year. We always have a waiting list of firefighters that have already gone through the hiring process, and now we're pulling 6 off that list to start up probably starting June 1st to fill vacancies we currently have within our staff.
So again, we only have 12 people from Point Roberts.
Yeah.
And so we have one young recruit.
We have Tavin Jackson, who has just started his fire training. He lives up off Wayland Drive with his family. And I think he's going to be an incredible member. He's a dual citizen, so once he gets certified, I'll have him for a couple of years because I don't think anybody's going to hire him before he hits 21. So that's going to be a benefit for this community, that he'll have his certifications withheld here for a little while, plus he's under contract with the district. But I'd like to let you stand up, introduce yourself, and tell them a little bit more about what you do as a Canadian.
Absolutely. My name is Lucas Hoffman. I live in Surrey. I've been a member down here for almost a year now. And like Chief has said, it's a privilege. I love coming down here. Being a part of this community and responding to emergencies and serving you guys is what I live for. I've been fully certified as a firefighter for quite a few years now. I'm definitely not the same person I was when I came down here back in, October of 2015 maybe. But I can only say that I love it down here. I love being part of this community. And if you have any questions for me about what I do or anything about the Canadian side, please let me know.
Yeah, as you can see, he has 0% body fat. He's probably our most ripped, in-shape firefighter that we have on this organization. And I paid him $20 to be here this evening, which he can't get paid until he gets his I-10. But no, I did not pay him, so don't take that to CBP. But he's a very valuable member, as all of our Canadians are.
I think what I'm getting at is that you're not bypassing people who live in Point Roberts to bring the Canadians down.
No, so I've had multiple people walk into my office and asked about being volunteers. I actually talked to one of them today. He's 21, 22 years old. He had never considered, he came to get a burn permit, he had never considered becoming a volunteer firefighter. And hopefully he'll come back into my office and want to take that next step for this community. But he lives here. If I have a U.S. person that is able to meet the qualifications necessary to be an EMT or a firefighter within this district, which are the certifications that we need, it's an American before a Canadian. That's my law. So I never turn away an American citizen who has the capabilities and will meet the requirements to become a member here. I never turn them away for a Canadian volunteer. And that's very important to let everybody know. I have had Americans come in, but the stopping point is they can't stop drinking, and they don't have to stop drinking, obviously, but they can't stop doing marijuana. That's been the biggest hiccup here in this community, is young people doing marijuana. And we drug screen our members. Everybody goes through a drug screen and a medical physical. So I had one individual walk through the doors, and I believe they would have been very capable of doing the job. But they also asked me if I could wait a month for them to take the medical. And I asked why, and they told me it's because they are a marijuana and other drug user, and that they would be clean within a month. When I explained that they would have to be clean from that point forwards, they basically thanked me for my time and said they couldn't do that, and turned around and walked away. In the best of my ability, I will always make sure that anybody that walks through your front door has the capability, the competencies, and the professionalism to do what I expect to be done on that scene. And if it's not, then I will hear about it, and those individuals will no longer be members of this organization, especially if they're lacking in professionalism. Capabilities, it's all dynamic for all of us. We learn. I've been a firefighter for 23 years, and I'm still learning. I've been a paramedic for 20 years, and I'm still learning. We're adding new medications all the time. Our protocols are changing, trying to make them better for those people that we respond to. But I can promise you that I will always do my best to put the best people on this organization. And it's not just men, but women. I don't care if I have an organization of 45 women. If they're the best people that I can produce for this organization and for this community, then they're the ones that are going to be leading the way. I don't care if someone is gay, LGBTQ, I don't care. If I have 41 gay people on this organization, they're going to be the best people that I can produce, and that's what the community is asking for. And that's what the community at the least level deserves, regardless of what their background is, where they come from, what their beliefs are. As long as they meet the professionalism, the requirements of this organization, they will be the ones walking through your front door. That's what I can promise to you as a citizen here, that we do not discriminate against anyone. Anyone can serve in this organization as long as you can do the job.
Well, and isn't the real point of the fire district providing that service? And I really just want to refocus that this is the fire district. This is the fire department. This is the fire commission. And we are here to make sure that fire services are provided to this community. That is the number 1, 2, and 3 points and the driving force of what this whole taxing district is about. And what this entity is for is to provide the great services, the best services that we can, and he's the one doing it. And to Bill and Stan for securing this guy's time here, it's, I've said to them 100 times, thank you for doing that, and for that I'm still really grateful, and just to be focusing that this is the fire district, and that as we go forward, making sure that all we do is improve and look to the future and try to figure out ways to do things better or differently, and to do it in a cost-effective manner. And I'm just, like Virginia said, I'm just grateful you're here, and I'm hoping that you'll be here for a long time, or at least as long as I know.
Thank you. And I don't know how to follow that up. I mean, the commission allows me to do my job to the best ability that I can, and to produce for this community in emergency services. And that will always be my mission, is to give this community the best possible services we can muster through our physical constraint, through our financial constraints, and with the personnel that we have. And we will always, as a membership, it takes a membership to provide what we're providing. It's not about just my position. I have to have those individuals who are willing to step forwards in the community, in Canada, in the county, to help serve this community because of our very special location within the United States map and this county as well. And the lack of those mutual aid resources, as Robin brought up earlier, that we have to, one person has to be as good as three in other organizations. But I believe that's what we have in every single member here, whether they're brand new or whether they're seasoned within this organization. You can rest assured that the person walking through your front door will be capable of helping you. Okay, and I just want you to know that for a fact, and that's a promise. And if it doesn't happen, I need to know, and I will correct the issue immediately.
I was here on a training last year, I think, and someone who had gotten hired and had been on the job, on a regular job in Canada, came back down for just the training night, and he'd been at his new job for like 6 months, and he was saying, someone asked him, well, is it harder on the real job than here in Point Roberts? And he said, no, it's the exact opposite. Chief Carlton is hard on you, gets you to your absolute tip-top shape, and gets you doing the best job you possibly can. And when you get to a full-time job, it's actually a little bit easier because you have extremely high expectations, and they're able to meet them. So that is something different than what we had in the past, and I think everybody in the community appreciates where we're at right now.
Well, I live here now too. I'm a citizen here too, and one day I'm going to have to make that phone call, and by God, those responders that walk through my door better be capable, better be professional, and better be prepared. And that's the way I think. That if it was me, I would want the same treatment that they would be providing me, because they know I'm the fire chief at the time, or if I'm retired in the years to come, but that they would be giving better service to you as a citizen than they would even give to me as their fire chief. I want to mention something about an incident support team that I'm establishing here in this community as well.
Chief, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, real quick. So, incident support team, and that's going to be, that team's going to be made up of volunteers from the community. You do not have to be a firefighter. You do not have to be an EMT. Those are not requirements in this position. I want to open up something for those who don't want to go to those trainings or have the abilities to do those positions, to be able to volunteer for their neighbor and to participate in this organization. That incident support team would be changing out firefighters' bottles on fire incidents or structure fires, whatever type of fire, refilling those air bottles, helping us on emergency calls, medical calls as well, maybe driving the ambulance to the hospital so we can leave certified personnel here on Point Roberts versus having one drive and lose that person. Those are all things that are being discussed at this point. But anybody that's interested in maybe participating in that position, I'm looking for 10 strong individuals, meaning that they're willing to participate, go through some training that is at our cost. There's no cost extension to you to become part of this team. I will supply your uniforms and everything, but I want to reach out to those that can't do the firefighter's job or EMT, but you can be in this position in supporting our efforts to provide for this community. And I hope that some people now, if they watch this video, they'll come forth. I already have interest from other individuals. Virginia has done that interest. She's going to be great for firefighter rehab, because during firefighter rehab, vitals have to be taken. People have to be monitored and say yes or no, you can go back into the fire. So other individuals, please come forth and help us give better services to this community through this group.
And when you say strong, you don't mean...
I don't mean strength.
There,
I mean people that really want to give something back to those that live here.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for being